So we have TypeScript set up, which was step 2. Now we've brought in all of these great packages that we need to use. Now step 3 is using System.js to load those packages so that Angular 2 knows where all those packages are. Now bear with me here, this is another kind of hard part of the setup. If you haven't worked with a loader before, it can be a little counterintuitive and be a little hard to understand why we're doing these things. The main reason that we're doing it is if we open up a new file just to demonstrate. To work with Angular 2, we're going to import a component from the Angular core. Now this is an ES6 import. It's part of the official ES6 spec, but browsers just don't support this right now. So when we're trying to import component from the Angular core, our browser just doesn't know where to look for it. This is why System.js or Webpack would be important for this step. This is the one part of the setup that I don't really like to write myself. It's a lot of writing, and I think it's better said by the Angular team. So we're going to go ahead, create our new file, systemjs.config.js, and we'll grab this information from the Angular docs. Here we're on the home page. We'll go to Get Started. And then if we scroll down a little bit to the first blocks, they show off the packages that we've been creating. We have our package.json that we're making, our tsconfig that we made, the typings file that we have, and also the System.js file. Copy this, and then paste that in here. And we'll talk about this a little bit. The way that System.js works is it requires a map and packages. And really, this is just a way that we can tell System.js where to look for things when it's loading. So when we're doing import from Angular core, it's really saying, oh, take Angular and go into node modules/Angular. And that's under node modules, Angular. And then it'll go into the core and find things that way. So System.js, this configuration file, is just telling our app where to look when we want to load certain packages. For all of those common packages like common, compiler, core, forms, HTTP, this System.js config goes through, creates an array here, loops over them all, and creates those config objects. And this is the way that System.js can look and load our different application parts. All right, we have that System.js config. Let's go into index.html now and bring all of the things we've been doing together. The things that we need to do are load the dependencies, which are pretty much the polyfills. Then we're going to load our Angular app with System.js. We'll use 3 dependencies here. We need core.js, we need zone.js, and we need reflect metadata. So let's get those now. Node modules, core.js. All right, that's 1 down. Two down. And there's 3. The other dependency that we were using, but we're not going to be needing to load it in our browser, was rx.js. And that will be imported from the Angular packages that need it. Now we can load. First we need to bring in System.js. Then we need to bring in our personal System.js config. Now we can finally load our application with System.js. And we'll do this right in the head of our document. And we'll load it, and then if there's an error, we'll console error it. All right. Now that's bringing step 2, which is the TypeScript side of things. That's all done from the command line since it's running TypeScript and watching and waiting. And then also we have System.js loading up our packages. We have our dependencies now. And really, this is everything that's needed to start working with Angular 2. This may seem a little bit overwhelming, especially coming from the Angular 1 world, where you could just load one script tag and totally be fine and start working. But we'll work on taking a step back in the next lesson. It's easy to think that a lot of these things are totally unnecessary and bog down our application. Right now, it's kind of the thing that we have to do to get all of these future-thinking ES6 features into our applications today. And I personally think it's good that the Angular team has been forward-thinking and started improving our applications and getting all of these futuristic ideas into our current-day applications. All we have to do is load these 3 dependencies and we get a lot of cool things for our apps, then that's not that big of a deal. All right, so we have step 2 done, TypeScript is done. We have step 3 done, which is System.js loading up our application. Let's start moving forward so we can get to the Angular 2 building part.